How can a government intervention make a difference? Well, there's a lot of ways that it can do that. Effective competition, protecting kids from harm, ensuring communities get access to universal services. There are many aspects on this. Well-designed interventions can deliver excellent public outcomes.
Government intervention can actually make a difference in a number of ways. First of all, it can do things like remove conflicts of interest where they exist in a marketplace. Secondly, it can address unlevel playing field in terms of information, so it can make sure that people are fully informed about what they're doing. And finally, it can promote competition if competition is not otherwise present in a particular part of the market.
By providing confidence in the community about the particular sector being regulated. For example, in food, there is a public expectation that the food people eat will be safe and won't make them sick.
Government intervention always makes a difference. It's a question of whether that difference is adding value or subtracting value. So what we've seen at the ACMA over our 10 years of existence is a greater propensity to work through the options first, to work with our industry and consumer partners so that you come up with the right outcome. You don't rush to an outcome that might serve a short-term political purpose but has enormous subsequent disadvantages. I think there are examples where parliaments and indeed regulators have been too quick to jump to short-term, ad hoc, hip pocket responses. What we've found over time is that if you let things wash over you, if you take a measured approach without being too measured, and there's a balance there to be struck, you will almost inevitably, informed by evidence, informed by research, and with the strength of a RIS underlying your decision making, you'll almost certainly end up with a much better, more enduring result.
I think it's really important that whatever intervention government makes, that there is ongoing evaluation of it and to really understand the impact of it. Often we see some level of intervention and then governments walk away from it. They don't really understand whether it's worked or not. And I think it's important that whatever intervention is taken, even if that intervention is to do nothing, that it's evaluated and really looked at to understood what the impacts are. When governments created a new regulatory framework around consumer credit is an important example. Only a few years ago, we didn't have obligations on lenders to really understand whether credit was going to be affordable for a home, for a householder, for an individual. And those new laws and obligations made an impact. It meant that people were given loans that were appropriate. They weren't overcommitted. They weren't causing financial difficulty down the track.
Well, if you ask a medicines regulator how the role of government intervening in regulation can make a difference, most of us, especially people of my generation, are old enough to remember thalidomide. And I remember as a young kid going on the train, I was in suburban Sydney, and you'd see kids my age without arms and legs. And that was because back then medicines could go on the market without having to provide adequate data to government about their safety and, for example, be tested in pregnant women. So that's a very here and now experience that across the world has framed the need for government to be involved in looking at safety, efficacy and quality of medicines, for example, before they're provided to market, including to expecting mothers.
Well, government intervention can make a difference by making sure there are clear rules for everyone to follow, and to also make sure that consumers, for example, know what their rights are and what they can expect when they're buying things, goods or services in the market. So government intervention can be very important for providing certainty in markets and for providing protection for the various players in the market.